Hello, everyone. A few days ago, I saw, I just saw it today, but a Little Pete's Homestead published a video sharing some Christmas stories of the past in his life. And he put out a challenge for anybody else with Christmas stories that they wanted to share to make a video of those Christmas stories. Well, I have Christmas stories. I've got quite a few, in fact. But they all revolve around my very first Christmas. And that was a very, very special Christmas. And this is Tiger wanting to join me. Well, this Christmas, Tiger, was, let me start at the beginning. It was December 24th, 1961. And my mother started having labor pains. Now, I have two older brothers, so she knows what real labor is like. But she'd been having a lot of false labor pains for the previous few weeks or so. And so there was questions as to whether this was a real thing. And the story that I've always been told was that, because of the history of false labor with this pregnant, my dad was, he questioned whether she really thought it was the real thing. And so they went for some walk, nice long walk around the block. And as the day progressed, more and more, my mom became convinced these were real labor pains and that she was in labor. Now, my parents always taught us the truth about Santa, so that wasn't a secret or anything. And so when they decided that my mom really was in labor, they sent my brothers to their bedroom. I have two older brothers. Only one is still alive today. And they sent them to their bedroom and finished wrapping everything and putting them under the tree and getting everything set. And then they called my brothers out, and they had Christmas on Christmas Eve. And when they were all done with that, they took my brothers next door to the neighbors to watch. They're about 7 and 4 years older than me. Both of them were born, one was in September and one is an October birth date. So they were, too young to be staying by themselves, especially at night. And so they went to the neighbors, and my dad took my mother to the hospital. And, back then, the fathers were kept in the waiting room, and they drugged the mothers for, the pain and stuff. So my mom was kind of conscious, but, she was drugged. And so she gave birth to me, and I was born at 1:50 a.m. on Christmas morning. And so my birthday is Christmas Day, December 25th. And so that was my very first Christmas. To show you how much things have changed. Because I have two older brothers, so that my mom could rest, the doctor kept us in the hospital for 4 days. There was no other reason for my mom to be in the hospital that long. My mom never had any problems. All of us kids were big. My one brother was, closing in on 11 pounds. I was well over 9 pounds. She had big babies, all natural, no C-sections or anything like that. But because there were two boys at home, they kept her in the hospital for 4 days with me. And so she could relax. That was the reason, so she could relax. So that tells you, nowadays, you push the kid out and you're, practically out the door afterward. So that tells you how much things have changed since then. But that was my very first Christmas. And so every single year, my birthday is Christmas Day. And my parents did have disagreements about how my birthday should be handled. My mom always felt it should be on the day I was born, and my dad felt it should be on another day. Well, I was about 5 when they separated and got divorced. So from then on, I would spend the summers with my dad, and he would take me out on a date. I mean, we'd go to the movies, we'd go to nice restaurants. It was always as formal as you can have a date with a child. I can remember going to restaurants at a hotel and just really nice places. So, and I'd get birthday presents then. But my mom, what she started doing was, even though I was born in the morning, we'd have Christmas in the morning, and then we'd have dinner around 2-ish, Christmas dinner, and then later on in the evening, we'd have the desserts after we were hungry again, and then after dessert is when I would have my birthday, and get my birthday presents and stuff. So I kind of grew up having, if you've ever seen Alice in Wonderland, there's a, they have an unbirthday party. And an unbirthday is any day that's not your birthday. So when I would go on the date with my dad, it was my unbirthday celebration. So I always had an unbirthday with my dad. And then I had a birthday on Christmas Day at my mom's house with my mom. And my aunt and uncle and cousins would always come over, my mom's sister. So that was my whole childhood of, now, another thing that was unique about our family, though, is that we always went, the Christmas part, we'd always open one present at a time. And since it was my birthday, I always got to pick the first present. But I couldn't pick for myself. I had to pick something for somebody else, give them the present, they would open it, and then they would go pick something for somebody else. And so we got to see everybody's, what everybody got. And this would take hours to accomplish, usually all morning long. Some Christmases, my aunt and uncle and cousins would have breakfast with us, and other Christmases they came a little later. And so, but it would always take, several hours to open whatever presents that were there to open up. But because it was my birthday, I always got to pick the first present, but it was always for somebody else. So I had to wait to open a present for me. But then after dessert, and we always had pumpkin pie because my uncle liked pumpkin pie, but then we'd have other pies and cake or something because, well, it was my birthday. So all my childhood, Christmas even today, Christmas is my birthday. They're synonymous for me. And I've had a lot of events. One year, a few years ago, Christmas happened to fall on a Sunday, and a family in the church, they have a huge extended Mexican family, but they also invited the pastor and all his kids. And, I was just going to get some ice out of the ice machine, and one of the family members asked me if I was doing anything for Christmas. And, it was Sunday morning, Christmas morning. And I said no, and I got invited. And that was a wonderful birthday because I got to be with people so often. And that's one thing to think about. If you know somebody who was born on Christmas Day, if they're single, if they have no family, if somebody doesn't invite them, they're probably going to spend Christmas and their birthday alone. Now, I've had some bad experiences when I was invited over to somebody's house and they kind of forgot it was my birthday. And after pretending like they had something planned, that was a bummer. But keep that in mind. If you've got a friend who is single, who has no children, who was born on Christmas Eve, something like that, they are probably going to be spending that day alone unless they are invited to something. And so often I am alone on Christmas Day, on my birthday. Not always. Sometimes things work out where I do have a place to go. I used to attend a church that had, the church would actually pay for the food, and it was a singles group, would open their home, and we would all go over there, all of us who had no place to go for Christmas. And we would have Christmas at the singles home and be with each other. And some people, might have a kid or two and bring them, but a lot of them were, like single fathers or never married, and just didn't have any place to go. And so that was enjoyable. But there's been a lot of Christmases that I was by myself, and at times it was very depressing and a bummer. But I've also had some great birthdays too in Christmas. Now, another story I want to share is there was one year Christmas fell, I don't know, it was in the middle of the week. And the following Sunday, I'm not sure who this man was. He probably was a deacon or somebody pretty important. A well-known person in the church. Well, apparently he'd had emergency brain surgery on Christmas Day. It was a tumor or something was discovered, and it couldn't wait. So that poor doctor, I don't know what his family, I guess they had Christmas without him or waited, I don't know, because brain surgery is not a quick operation. But because of that, there was a huge amount of talk about how we need to remember that there's a lot of people in the hospital on Christmas Day, and they're lonely. They're missing out, and we need to pray for them or visit them on Christmas Day. And I have been with a group that one Christmas, and I'm not a singer at all, so it's not something I really enjoy because I know I sing off key. But we went to a nursing home and we sang Christmas carols for, we go from room to room. And I did that one year. But in general, I don't know how that happened, but I was just with a group of people because it's not something I would volunteer to go singing. I might do other things, but not singing. But because of this man having emergency brain surgery on Christmas Day, from the pulpit was discussion about, people, we need to remember people in the hospital on Christmas Day. And then in Sunday school, it was talked about, and it was just a real major, topic that particular Sunday. Well, after Sunday school was over with, I went up to the singles pastor, and I said I was once in the hospital on Christmas Day. And he immediately got that, that pastoral, oh, I'm so sorry, sympathy look, that was put on me immediately. And I just said in a really cheery voice, and so was my mother. And you could see the wheels trying to turn in his brain, and it suddenly dawned on me, and he said, happy birthday. So an hour later or so, I get home, and I call up a friend, see how the friend's doing, and I tell him about this exchange with the pastor and that, what I said about being in the hospital. And he's sitting there thinking, when was Carrie ever in the hospital? She was born on Christmas Day, but when was she in the hospital? Now, just because I have no memories of being in the hospital on Christmas Day doesn't mean I wasn't in the hospital. I went into the hospital on Christmas Eve, and 4 days after I was born, we left. So I was in the hospital all from midnight to midnight on Christmas Eve. Part of the time I was in my mom's womb, and part of the time I wasn't. Well, finally, after a few seconds or so, it suddenly dawned on him that's when I was in the hospital on Christmas Eve, or on Christmas. So I have been in the hospital on Christmas. I just don't remember any of it. My mom has stories. She got really irritated with all the nurses keep waking her up all the time when she just wanted to sleep. But they'd come and check on her and stuff and, do things that nurses did back then and probably still do today. And she was just exhausted and wanted to sleep. Can you imagine? Oh, well, some of you don't have to imagine, but if you're going to, deliver a baby at 1:50 a.m., you're going to be tired. And my mom was tired. So that's a few of the stories about Christmas that I have. There's a lot more Christmas stories because, well, it's my birthday and things happen. But I just wanted to share those stories because that's my life. And to the day I die, Christmas and my birthday are always going to be one event, you know. So if you are a YouTube channel, I challenge you to share some of your Christmas stories. Again, this was Little Pete's Homestead, and he started the challenge, and I'll put a link to his channel. And hey, we all have stories of Christmas, and they're all very unique. So I challenge you to share your stories on a video and let Little Pete's Homestead know so he can put it in the playlist, because he already has a playlist on his channel. So thanks for listening, and I hope no matter whether you're alone or you're with other people, whether you have any idea what you're going to be doing on Christmas, maybe it's already set in stone, or maybe you're like me and you don't even know what's going to happen that day. I mean, I have no idea if I'll even see a human being this Christmas. I know I will December 24th, Christmas Eve service at church. I know I'll be seeing people then. But I don't know if we'll see anybody on Christmas Day. Most likely I won't, because everybody, you know, who has family will be with their family, and that's just my life. But whatever Christmas is for you, I hope you have a good one. Whether or not you, I know a lot of people don't even celebrate it, and they don't care. You know, they're Jewish or they're just non-religious or whatever. But whatever you do or don't do, I hope you have a nice day. And God bless you, and thanks for listening.